Welcome, all my fellow Washington brethren and sisters. I am your man and resident Washington football team fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Washington Football Report Live. Thank you guys for joining me on this much later than usual show. I thought the Hall of Fame game was going to go back to Sunday for those of you who didn't join me on the podcast and didn't get all of this. And I think I might have even done this on one of the Washington shows that I put out, one of the training camp confidentials. But just in case I did not, I wanted to make sure that I didn't step on the toes of the Hall of Fame game. Now, I know a lot of you like, I don't give a shit. You know, it's not Washington. Who cares? I care because I always like to take in the first half of the Hall of Fame game. I always like to kind of inhale all of that football and kind of grasp the fact that, hey, this is going to be my life for the next 6 months, and have that moment to myself where I go, it's back. Like, I don't know if you guys know that part of the movie Coming to America, the first one, where Prince Akeem is walking with Lisa to the restaurant, and he stops, and remember, he took some money from Simi because he had redone the apartment that they were in, and he said, if you have no more money, you can cause no more mischief. So he sticks the money in his pocket, in his coat pocket, and they're going to the restaurant, and they walk past the two old guys from Trading Places. And he gives them the money. It's in a bag that he balled up, and he gives them the money. And they take the money out of the bag. And he's like, Randolph, what is it, Mortimer? And he takes the money out, and he says, we're back. That's what every year when the Hall of Fame game comes on, that's how I feel. It's back. So I didn't want to miss that. I didn't want to step on the toes of the Hall of Fame game. Let the first half go. I don't care about the second half. I rarely watch the second half. It's going to be trash. And the first half wasn't all that great either. It usually isn't. But still, just knowing for the next 6 months we'll have football every single week from here on out, it's a blessing. So with that said, not going to talk your head off about that. We're going to talk about things that you care about, which pertain to the Washington football team. And I didn't do this today, so we're going to do it here on this show first before we get to your comments. We're going to do our day number 3 in pads review. So our training camp confidential we'll essentially do here live on the show tonight. Then we'll get to any of your comments out there. And then we'll get out of here. You know, this doesn't have to be a long show. Obviously, it's a little bit later, so some of you guys have things to do, you know, and you'll check it on replay. If you're out there watching this on replay, you can be a part of this discussion as well. Leave a comment down in the comment section. If there's something you disagree with, or you agree, or you got a question that I may be able to answer, or someone else may be able to answer, leave it down in the comment section. You know, that's what this community that we fostered is all about. You know, bringing things up, talking about different topics, bringing them to the forefront, and having an open discussion about them, whether in the chat discussion where you guys are congregating or out loud, you know, via super chat, or in the comment section after the video is done. So whatever the case may be, make sure that you're involved. You know, don't just be a lurker. It's okay to lurk. I'm a lurker as well. It's okay to lurk. But if you've got something to say, say it. You know, don't hold it in. We want to hear from you. So wanted to throw that out there as well. If you're out there and you're watching this video, I truly do appreciate you chopping it up with me as we come on a little bit later tonight than usual. Make sure that if you're out there, please do me a huge solid. Hit that like button. Okay, most of you, if you're watching this, you're probably already subbed. I shouldn't make that assumption. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber to the Louie T Network. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And most importantly, hit the like button, as that helps this video and also, more importantly, this channel grow exponentially. So with that said, let's get to day number 3 in pads down in Ashburn for the Washington football team. Couple of notes that I took listening to Ron, who stepped to the podium today. Also heard from linebacker Cole Holcomb, and then, various different things, people that were out at the park and people that were getting wind of things that are happening. So kind of take all those things in, formulate some opinions, and bring it to you guys and have you guys react to it. So let's take care of some house cleaning first. Brandon Sheriff returned to practice today for the first time in 5 days. Remember, he was on the COVID list. We talked about that, I think, about 2-3 days ago, him being on the COVID list. So he was out for 5 days, which lets you know he didn't have COVID. If he had COVID, that's a 2-week process, but it's 5 days. And obviously, if you watch Sheriff do his interview, the easy way to tell if a guy is vaccinated or not is simply whether he's wearing a mask at the podium or not. If the guy comes to the podium and he's doing his interview or his presser and he's got a mask on, he's not vaccinated and is probably not going to get vaccinated. If the guy comes to the podium, he doesn't have a mask on, he's vaccinated, he's okay. That's why he's allowed to walk around without a mask on. So it's really easy to tell who is and who isn't. It doesn't matter. That shit doesn't matter to me. But, these things get brought up. And Sheriff, the only reason I brought it up is because Sheriff is unvaccinated. And because he's unvaccinated, if he did have COVID, then he would have to be out for 14 days. But if you're vaccinated and I think you get COVID, you only have to miss 5 days if you test negative 3 straight times, I believe it is. So whatever the case may be, he doesn't have COVID. He was just on the COVID list because he came in close contact with someone who either had it or came in close contact with someone that came in close contact with somebody else that had COVID. Whatever the case may be, he was back in practice today. That's the short form of the long story that I just told for no reason. He was back at practice, and that's important. No Cam Curl at practice today, which was odd because he didn't injure himself, which is a good thing, but him not being at practice, we were wondering what was going on. He had an illness, so he was not at practice today. But Ron downplayed it, said he'll be back more likely than not tomorrow, which is a good thing. Hopefully Cam Curl feels a lot better tomorrow, and Godspeed to him. Hopefully he feels in much better shape today or tomorrow than he did today. And even if he's not back and ready to go tomorrow, it's not a big deal. But they're doing the practice in front of the fans tomorrow at FedEx Field, so that should be a big deal. We'll see. I know a lot of you have said you're looking to pull up at that. I'd love to hear how that went and what your impressions are of the team and the festivities and everything, because there's a buzz building right now. We've talked about that already. Like to know how you guys feel about everything if you do end up going to that practice. Charles Leno Jr. out of practice today. His grandmother passed away. The funeral was today. Laid her to rest. May she rest in peace. God rest her soul. He went to pay his final respects, so he was not at practice. So we saw a combination of Sadiq Charles and Cornelius Lucas manning up the left side of the offensive line at left tackle. So again, that flexibility, that positional flex that I talked about with Sadiq Charles continuing to show itself. I told you he is going to be a Swiss Army knife for this offensive line. He's going to be a guy that is going to be a must on game days because of his ability to play 4 out of the 5 positions on the offensive line. And he's shown his versatility this camp, having played left tackle, right tackle, and right guard and left guard all at camp at some point, not left guard. That's the only position he hasn't played in camp. He played that in OTAs as well, in addition to left tackle. But there was a combination of Sadiq Charles and Cornelius Lucas at left tackle, as there was no Charles Leno Jr. today at practice. Matt Ioannidis is off the COVID-19 list. I told you that yesterday. He was taken off of that list yesterday. However, still working on the side field. As a matter of fact, I think he was taken off that list 2 days ago. Still working off to the side, working on his conditioning. So that's something to keep an eye on. However, Ioannidis wasn't back on the field in team drills, but Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne both were. Remember, Allen was sidelined with a hamstring, And meanwhile, Daron Payne was on the COVID-19 list. He was removed from that list, was back at practice today, and Jonathan Allen back on the field after nursing that hamstring. So good to see both of those guys back in the mix inside on the defensive line, because the offense got the better of the defense yesterday because we didn't have Ioannidis, Allen, nor Payne in the middle of that defense. The offense took advantage of it. So good to have those guys back in the fold. So let's get to some performances quickly at practice today. Some standouts. Taylor Heinicke had arguably his best day of practice at camp in today's practice, specifically an 11-on-11 drill where he was flawless, took the offense right down the field, a beautiful deep ball to Steven Sims Jr. on the left side of the football field, then another ball to Steven Sims to get them down close to the end zone, and then an absolute dart in tight coverage to DeAndre Carter right in front of the pylon as Carter was able to get his feet inbounds with some great coverage from Jimmy Moreland, but a better throw. A wise man once told me you cannot defense the perfect pass. That's what it was from Heinicke by all reports and accounts. And so he was flawless on that drive, and that was his best ball of camp to this point. So Heinicke seems to be gaining a little confidence. Again, not going to be the starter barring some kind of catastrophe, but good to hear that he's starting to pick things up and get a little bit more comfortable and acclimated out there making some plays. Juice with his best day of camp, and he's been up and down, and that's what you expect from a young guy. And so he's had his moments where he's been outstanding. He's had his moments where he's been grabby and been called for, penalties with the referees being out there. But he was outstanding today. I saw a couple of clips of him making some plays on the football. I saw him in coverage one time where the catch was still made, but he was right there in the hip pocket of the receiver. So Juice starting to get his legs under himself, starting to get more comfortable. Again, it's a process with these young boys. Every single one of them, they don't all mature at the same rate. Some guys get it right off the bus as soon as they get into the league. Others, it takes time. So we don't know. Samuel Cosme may be ready to go week one, hit the ground running. We don't even have to worry about him. He assimilates himself well. Meanwhile, Juice may struggle. De'Ami Brown may hit the ground running, come in, make plays. You don't have to babysit him. But again, you just don't know. John Bates may take some time. So you just don't know how these guys are going to progress. But it's good to hear that Juice is continuing to gain confidence. And I love the fact that as a cornerback, you have to have selective memory, okay? You got to be able to erase the memory bank. You're going to get beat as a corner. Don't care how good you are. Jalen Ramsey gets beat, okay? Stephon Gilmore gets beat. The best of the best in the league right now, they get beat. But you know what they don't do? They don't let that one play beat them again. So good to see that Juice is continuing to work and get better. So his best day at camp, I love to hear that. I want to see if he continues to build upon that. Lastly, I want to throw this out because there have been several guys that have been dismissed essentially because of preconceived notions that we have of these players. Steven Sims Jr., one of those guys, definitely not making the team. Most of you think there's no chance in hell after what he did last year, he's making his team. And I've tried to tell you guys, and remember, I was a staunch defender of Steven Sims Jr. last year. Staunch defender of him because I said the guy is talented. I stand by that statement, mind you, okay? However, a lot of you think he's not going to make this team. I am among you. I don't think he's going to make the football team. However, I've been very, very calculated in how I've presented the information to you. I've told you guys, do not dismiss Steven Sims Jr. Do not dismiss DeAndre Carter. These are guys that have a legitimate shot of making this team because we don't have a punt returner. So Sims Jr. has really gotten his act together. Ron has had glowing praise for him this camp, talked about his explosiveness, how he looks more comfortable year two in the scheme, doesn't have to think as much, can just go out and play. He's making plays in camp. So is DeAndre Carter. These are guys that you should not dismiss. Another guy that you have dismissed, I'm just as guilty. I'm not going to just say you guys because Unlike Steven Sims Jr., who I've told you guys, don't dismiss him, and I've been an advocate of his, even though I don't think he's going to make the team. I've been pretty much dismissive of Troy Apke, a.k.a. Trap. Okay, I've said Traps, there's no way in hell Trap's making the roster. They've converted him to corner, which is a cardinal sin in terms of you making the roster. That's their last-ditch effort to try to save you on this roster. He's not making the team as a cornerback. But they drafted Derek Forrest, who's supposed to be the black version of Trap, which is a core special teamer that you know is going to get it done. However, I've told you guys this before. Special teams matters. Okay? Special teams matters. Special teams players matter. All right? You've heard Black Lives Matter. Special teams players matter. Okay? Make sure that you don't discount the fact that a guy's contribution on special teams isn't going to be enough to get him on the roster. I've told you guys, Troy Apke, Trap is our best special teams player. They don't know Derek Forrest. They don't know that he's going to come in and be Trap. There's no replacing a fiend the caliber of a Troy Apke. Okay? So again, don't dismiss Trap. He's not ready as a corner. They don't want to put him in the game as a corner. But they have guys on this roster that they have no intentions of putting in the game at their particular position. Case in point, Jarrett Norris. He's on the roster as a linebacker. How many times do you see Jarrett Norris in the game at linebacker? Not very many. He gets in on goal line from time to time. That's it. Jarrett Norris isn't going to see the field in any capacity at linebacker, but they know this guy is a fiend of epic proportions on special teams, and you cannot replicate that. That can't be dismissed, and it can't be understated nor overstated. Trap is the same type of guy. May not see the field in any capacity at corner nor safety, but they may say he's too good to cut on special teams. And I just want to throw this out there. This was made note that he's still on, he being Trap is still on every single special teams unit, the first team special teams unit on every unit. If you're going to cut a guy, he shouldn't be manning up the first team on every single special teams unit. Now, you can still get cut and be manning up every first team unit. I'm not saying that is a prerequisite to making the roster. I'm not saying it's impossible to be cut if you're on every single first team special teams unit. But it tells you how much confidence the staff has in his ability to play special teams and how invaluable they think he is if they're not working in other guys to try to take his spot so that if they cut him, it lessens the blow. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know how this roster is going to be bananas this year because of all of the different things we have to take into consideration. Will they keep 7 receivers? Are they going to keep 6 safeties? Are they going to keep 5 or 6 corners? Are they going to keep 4 running backs? Are they going to keep 4 tight ends? I don't think they're going to keep 4 tight ends, but we don't know what the hell they're going to do. You can't keep all of these guys. You got to trim off fat somewhere. I think it's 3 running backs. I think it's 3 tight ends. I think I feel really confident in both of those positions only being 3. Okay. But what are you going to do at safety? There's like 6 safeties. You're going to keep all 6 of them? There's a realistic possibility that they do. I'm thinking it's 5 safeties, 5 corners for a total of 10 defensive backs, but shit's getting crazy, man. I think Derek Forrest, to me, it's a competition between Derek Forrest and Troy Apke. That's, to me, where Apke has a chance to make the roster. If they look at Derek Forrest and say, he can't help us on the field in the safety capacity right now, and honestly, with the depth that we have, we don't need him. We put him on the practice squad. If we like what he's doing and we have some injuries, we can pull him up. But Apke is irreplaceable special teams wise. And don't think for 1 second that we can just cut Troy Apke and no one will touch him, because trust me, teams know who the special teams fiends are around the league. They know, okay? Special teams coordinators know. And if he gets cut, don't think for 1 second a team that may have some issues on special teams won't snatch up Troy Apke in a heartbeat. Trap will be a commodity if he gets cut from a special team standpoint. Not saying that he'll be the first on everybody's list to go out and get, but special teams matters. You want to know why we haven't been giving shit up on special teams? Guys like Troy Apke are the reason. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Anyway, Trap has a chance. I think it may come at the expense of Derek Force. He's a rookie. He's a 5th-round pick. If he doesn't make the team, more than likely, he'll be available for the practice squad, eligible for it, and I think that's where he'll end up. But we will see. This is going to be one fascinating preseason. That is for sure. You know, in past years, you get to the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter of these preseason games, whatever. That's not going to be the case this year. I'm just telling you, it's so crazy that you got to watch these things start to finish, because these 3rd and 4th quarters are going to be the difference between a guy making the team and making the practice squad and being cut all together and not making either one. So anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section and start the night off with my guy, Trevor Patch. Thank you for the super chat, Trevor Patch. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Trevor Patch, writes, who else could it be but my man, Louie T? What up, Trevor Patch, man? I really do appreciate you chopping it up with me tonight. Again, a little later than normal, but I'm glad you guys saw fit to come and kick it with me anyhow. So thank you for the super chat, Trevor Patch. Always great to hear from you. Got another one here from Dennis Rice. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Dennis Rice, who writes, biggest surprise player this season on the on our Washington football team roster. So the biggest surprise, I think I've said this already, for me thus far has been Landon Collins. Just not because of what he's doing, because I know he's capable when healthy. I just didn't expect him to be this healthy this quick. Like, all reports have essentially been mirrored of one another. Everyone's saying the same thing. They're being echoed. Landon Collins looks to be in some of the best shape he's been in, and he's moving a lot faster than they've ever seen him move in a Washington football team jersey. And this guy is around the action. He's making plays. He looks like the guy they spent $84 million on. And Collins himself admitted this is the best shape he's ever been in, because in order to really expedite the process, he had to watch what he ate. He couldn't have a lot of excess fat and stuff on his body. So he had to watch what he ate. He had to get into tremendous shape to really lighten the load on his Achilles. And it's gotten him into tremendous shape. And he's balling right now. So that's my biggest surprise, is the fact that Landon Collins is out there running around, moving, jumping, running, cutting at the rate of speed that he is, and playing at the level that he is at camp. I didn't see that coming. Now, if you want to take it a step further, I think some of the guys at the receiver position, most notably DeAndre Carter, has really caught my attention, because I was dismissing a lot of these guys at the receiver position, and he stepped up and he's given himself a chance. And not only because he plays special teams, returns punts and kickoffs, which we desperately need a punt returner, but he's also been making plays at receiver, and that really helps his cause as well. So that's a guy that I'll say has really, caught my attention. But that to me, the biggest surprise so far for me has been Landon Collins. Thank you for the super chat, Dennis Rice. Got another super chat here. This one is from Rob Yu. Greatly appreciate you, Rob Yu, who writes, what up, Lou? What up, Rob Yu? He says, just getting in, looking forward to checking out the playback tomorrow. Much respect, champ. Hey, really do appreciate you, Rob Yu, as always. Thank you so much for the support. And hopefully you enjoy the playback. You got questions or comments, leave them in the comment section as always, man. Thank you so much, Rob Yu. I really do appreciate you. Got another super chat. This one is from Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. Metaphor writes, sup, Lou? Sup, Metaphor? Says, Carter over Sims, a dual returner, punt and kick returner. Absolutely. And I don't want to say that Steven Sims Jr. burnt the return bridge last year, but he kind of, for me at least, he burnt my return bridge last year. Like I can't offer him that job again. I don't like after Jamison Crowder had that one season, there was never any confidence in his ability to stick him back there again for me. I was like, I don't want to see Jamison Crowder back there ever again. Like, because it's a mental thing for me. You know, once you start muffing punts and dropping footballs and you're fumbling when you get hit, which he did all of those things, all of the above. Fumbled in week 2 versus Arizona on a punt return that got recovered by the Cardinals. Muffed the punt against the Carolina Panthers. He almost cost us the damn Eagles game. You remember he dropped a punt in that game too. You know, I was like, get him the hell out of there. I don't want to see him back there. So anybody but him at this point. So with Carter, you get, like you said, a dual returner. Danny Johnson, I thought, was fantastic on kick returns last year, but you want to stick somebody else back there? Again, if DeAndre Carter is making his team, he's making it because he's going to handle all of that stuff. He's going to handle both kickoff and punt returns. You know, he's going to have the ability to go in the game at receiver if need be. And he's going to be on every single special teams unit. Like, if he's making the team, he's not going to just be the punt returner. He's going to be kick returner too. So it'll be interesting. I think they still want that last receiver to be a guy that they can put in the game and play the slot. And Sims has been doing a bang-up job this camp in the slot of making plays. But I think the edge may go to Carter because he's been making his fair share of plays as well. I think the edge goes to him because of what you just said. He adds that value as a punt and kick returner, and he doesn't have the mistakes that we can't get from our memory bank from last year with Steven Sims. He doesn't have that on his account. That's on Steven Sims' account. And much like your credit report, that's not going away for 7 years. Okay. So as much as I want to root for Steven Sims, I can't get that out of my head. That's not coming off the credit report right now. He's got a lot of time that has to elapse before I can forget about that. So Carter's credit report is clean with us. He hasn't made any mistakes. So I think that gives him the nod. And I'd love to know what Rivera feels and what special teams coach Nate Kazor feels. But I'd like to believe that they're thinking in the back of their mind, we don't really want to put Steven Sims back there. Now, they're giving him opportunities, but I don't think they want. I think they'd like to try something new back there. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. Got another super chat from Metaphor once again. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, I'm glad to hear 85% of the team at least one vax shot. So let's talk about that because I really have been staying away from that because I already told you guys, I really don't give a shit. So I haven't been bringing it up, even though that story has been a story for the last 48 hours or so, because Washington jumped from 70% all the way up to like 85% like 2 days ago. So Ron made a hard push over the weekend. They had this kind of meeting and they had all of these different professionals come out, talk to the players again. And then they actually had a vaccination station set up for guys to get vaccinated if they so choose. And a lot of guys decided to do it. That's how the rate bumped up from 70 to 85. And excuse me. It's a great thing, you know. But once again, those were guys that were on the fence. Those were guys that needed a little bit more convincing. Those were the guys that could be swayed. You're not swaying Chase Young. You're not swaying Montez Sweat. You're not swaying Brandon Sheriff. These guys aren't getting the vaccination. They're not getting the vaccine. Okay? And that's fine. The other players know that. They're cool with that. It's all good. So I love the fact that the guys that were on the fence decided to do it. the more the merrier. But at the end of the day, I told you, I don't care anything about vaccination rates or shots, this, that, and the third, who gets it, who doesn't. I just want to play ball. I just want these guys to be able to play ball. The fact that they're getting vaccinated makes it a lot easier. And the more guys that get vaccinated, the less we have to talk about this shit. However, at the end of the day, all anybody ever cares about is what happens on the field. We get into October, nobody's talking about vaccination rates if we haven't had any issues with it. It only becomes a story, and I've said this from the jump, back when the vaccination rate was below 60%. Said the same shit then, I'm saying the same shit now, because nothing in my mind has changed. This only becomes an issue when it becomes an issue. Like in Minnesota, they had some issues. We had issues. We had 7 guys on the COVID-19 list, right? It happens. But it's not an issue until it becomes an issue. We get to playing football games, and then we got some problems. That's when this becomes an issue. That's when it's a story that we really have to dig into. You want to be proactive here. You want to get out in front of this thing. That's what Ron has done. That's what the players are doing now by getting these first shots. Great. At the end of the day, I told you this already. These guys built up equity with me last year when we had COVID-19 running rampant around the league, the Titans and all the Ravens and all these teams having outbreaks. And everyone felt the wrath of COVID, except for like 2 or 3 teams. We were one of those teams. We were one of those teams. We took care of business last year. Now, again, I've already stated this. The world is much more open this year than last year, so it creates and poses greater challenges and risks to all of the players involved. It's not as easy when shit's open and you can go out without a mask on, even if you're unvaccinated. It's a lot harder to stay COVID free. That said, I trust these guys. Until they give me a reason not to, I trust them. But at the end of the day, the more guys that are vaccinated, the better it is for this football team. So the fact that we are up to 85% of guys having that first shot in their system, awesome. Great. But again, I don't really give a shit because I don't feel one way or the other about guys that are or aren't vaccinated. As I just told you, our best players aren't vaccinated. Most of them, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Brandon Sheriff, none of them are vaccinated. And none of them look like they're getting the vaccine anytime soon. I don't care. Okay? We might get up to 90%, but we're never getting to 100, and that's okay. It's okay. As long as we don't have any issues, it's not an issue. We have issues, then it becomes a story, then it becomes an issue. So I'm glad we're up to 85% though, just to make sure that is well known. I'm elated that they're up to 85%. So thank you for that super chat metaphor. Got a super chat here from Condoleezza Perry. Thank you for the super chat. Condo P, really do appreciate you as always, who writes, can we discuss the real breakout star this week in training camp, Ted the Bird? Dude is all over the field. Look, man, Ted is stealing all of the shine this week. I mean, the fact that Ted's got a name already, Ted is trending on Twitter. Ted's, you got our offensive coordinator tweeting out about Ted. That's how much of a phenomenon Ted has become. I've steered clear of it because, again, I don't care. I don't give a shit about Ted, but it's cool. It's one of those training camp things that you do because it's nothing to do, and it's another story. It's something else to talk about to break up the monotonous nature of training camp. But at the end of the day, I honestly, if I'm keeping it a buck and some change with you, I care about ball. I want to talk about football. I don't give a shit about Ted the Bird. But, it's funny. And I see all the tweets. I see all the mentions, see all the comments. And it's taken on a life of its own. He's even got a nickname now. Ted Finch Magic. I don't know if you saw that. So, yeah, Ted's the man now. All right. So Ted's taking off on a life of its own. And it is what it is, man. But Ted was definitely the real breakout star of camp this week. And we'll see if that trend continues next week. They were breaking down. He was eating a cicada, And they were breaking down film of him eating the cicada. So, I mean, that's where we are right now with Ted. You know, Ted's getting all the shine. So, it is what it is, man. I'm happy for Ted. You better take care of this 15 minutes of fame because once it's gone, it's gone. So, thank you for the super chat, Condo P. Got another super chat here from Metaphor. Thank you for tripling up, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor writes, Dan wants the name to be DC BLM, from racist to inclusion. I really think that those Red Wolves people, you got a shot. In all seriousness, and you know, Metaphor is gonna troll 2 or 3 times during the course of the show. We love that about Metaphor. We know what to expect. Okay. Seriously though, I watched a little clip. Somebody sent me a little clip a while ago. I should have brought this up a long time ago because somebody sent me this clip. I think multiple people sent me this clip about a month and a half ago. Ron Rivera's on a golf cart and he's being interviewed by one of these Washington reporters, or I think it might have been a national media person, whomever it was. They asked him about the name of the team and which one did he like the most. And Ron threw out that he really liked Red Wolves. And he thought it was really cool. And I thought to myself, now, Ron wouldn't be giving up any, proprietary information. He wouldn't be doing that. So I don't think it's the name of the team. But the fact that the head coach, who has really had some strong input, and again, Ron Rivera isn't Joe Gibbs, okay? So, like, Ron Rivera could be fired in 5 years from now. So I don't want to make it seem like this guy's got all this input. He doesn't have a 10-year, $100 million contract like John Gruden does in Vegas, where he can do whatever the hell he wants and he's not going to get fired. That said, Ron's somewhat, I don't call him a made man here in Washington. He hasn't gotten to that status yet. Doesn't have a Super Bowl championship under his belt. Hasn't been here long enough to be a made man. That said, he's had a lot of input and a lot of things that have gone on here since he's gotten here. I don't know how much input he has on the name. I don't think it's a lot. But the fact that the head coach likes that name, you got to wonder, is there some real traction there or not? A lot of you have already made mention of this. I find this to be the most realistic reason why they would name it Red Wolves, and that's if you're looking to pull in the younger fan base, a lot of which you've already lost, okay, or never had in the first place. If you're looking to rope them in and reel them in, Red Wolves is the way to do that. You're not going to lose guys like me and people like Condo P and Double M and Metaphor. You're not going to lose Rob U. We're core fans. We're not going anywhere. Derek B isn't going anywhere. All right? So there, you don't have to worry about us if you name the team Red Wolves and we think it's a kiddie name. Don't worry about us. Worry about the younger fans that care about shit like that, that care about the logo and all of that stuff. And worry about them. And if they're smart, they will go after that fan base. Oldie but goodies like myself and people that are older than me, we don't give a shit. Yeah, we if the name's this or that, we might prefer one name or the other, but we're still going to root for the damn team regardless. So it's something to consider. I will say that it's something to consider. I honestly don't know what the hell they're going to do at this point. I'm pretty much just taking a wait and see approach now. But anyway, I digress. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. Trevor Patch, double up. Thank you for doubling up, Trevor Patch. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Trevor Patch, writes, who will be the first player cut by Ron coming up? It's impossible to say who's going to be the first cut. I think we'll have a better sense of what direction they'll go in after, one of these preseason games. But to say who the first cut will be, who knows? We know this much. We know what guys are making the team. And because we know what guys are going to make the team, or the vast majority of them, of the 53, we probably have about 48 guys maybe that we know are going to make the team, and they're probably realistically about 5 spots that are up for grabs. Knowing that much, then you can kind of say, all right, because these 48 are making it, we can say confidently, well, these 35 aren't. You know, and there are a bunch of those guys, a bunch of receivers that they got out there that aren't going to make the team, a bunch of corners and safeties, you know, that aren't going to make the team. Cole Luke isn't going to make the team at the safety position. He's competing his ass off, but he's not making the team. Rick Leonard got injured, you know, today at practice. He's a tackle, for those of you who don't know who Rick Leonard is. He's not making the team. He may get cut because he got injured, for all I know. But we know Rick Leonard isn't making the team. We're loaded at tackle. Rick Leonard isn't making the football team. So they're guys, you know, they're going to get cut. They're out there. They're competing. They're going to get cut, though. Like, we already know that they're not keeping 4 quarterbacks. Steven Montez isn't making the football team. They're not cutting him right away, though. They still need him as a camp arm. But we know they're not keeping 4 quarterbacks. Steven Montez isn't making this football team. He'll be on the practice squad again. So they're guys that you can pretty much whittle off the list. But I don't know who will be the first player cut. Can't give you that kind of information. Thank you for the super chat, Trevor Patch. Got another super chat. This one is from my guy, Billy A. Billy Ampifo. Thank you for the super chat, Billy A., who writes, Curtis Samuel, never, ever trust a man with 2 first names, says, had his best year under Brady because he used him as a wide receiver / running back. I'm not confident in Turner's creativity. I hope he uses Curtis Samuel like Joe and not just as a deep threat. They tried that 2 years ago and it didn't work. So let me make sure I convey this to you. The only reason Joe Brady used Curtis Samuel in the capacity that he did was because Christian McCaffrey was injured. Okay, let's get that straight right now. Let's not make – and I think Joe Brady's going to be a head coach in this league. I think this guy's phenomenal. So I'm not shitting on Joe Brady, but I don't want to give him too much credit. Like, he just came in and he was so innovative that he came up with this great idea to put Curtis Samuel at his natural position. Let's not forget Curtis Samuel was a high school running back and a damn good one and a really productive running back when he got the rock at Ohio State. So it's not like he was reinventing the wheel or anything like that. But still, if Christian McCaffrey were healthy, Curtis Samuel isn't getting 39 carries or however many he ended up getting. Okay, I can assure you of that. The only reason those carries came his way is because they did it out of necessity. There was no Christian McCaffrey. They needed a different flavor back there because all they had essentially was a hammer and Mike Davis. They needed someone with some speed and some quickness back there to offset Mike Davis's, ability to run the football. So that's why Curtis Samuel got as many touches as a running back as he did. That said, he did flourish in that kind of usage rate. They took notice. Ron has talked about it. Scott has talked about it. Everybody's talked about, what he did in Carolina last year and his versatility. They're going to use him. We've got guys here. Okay. He'll get his touches in the backfield, but he won't get 35 carries like he did in Carolina. Don't look for that. He'll get his fair share of jet sweeps. And, one of the frustrating things about our jet sweep motion last year was that it was ghost motion way too often. We didn't give it enough. When we gave it, we had big plays in the run game. Terry had a nice run. Antonio Gibson had a huge hit against, I want to say it was against either the Ravens or the Cowboys. I think it was the Cowboys. We had some huge hits with the jet sweep. We just didn't run it enough. So we're going to run it a ton with Curtis Samuel. And he's going to get his touches. But make no mistake about it. We got Gibson. We got McKissick. We got Barber, possibly Jared Patterson. We got running backs. We don't need Curtis Samuel running the football as a running back. And what we need him to do is be creative in whatever role they put him on the field in and have him play and perform to the best of his abilities in that role, whether it be slot receiver, whether it be at X, whether it be on a shallow cross, whether it be on a seam ball up the middle of the football field, whether it be jet sweep, cross the formation, whether it be him going in reverse motion, stop, turn, pivot, go back across the field, and they throw it to him out in the flats, whether it's a wide receiver screen, whatever they decide to do and however they decide to get him the football, that's where we need him to shine. So I hear what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from. They understand how he can be best utilized. They've had him before. He's grown as a receiver. Let's see if those steps that he's taken as a receiver start to pay huge dividends at this point of his career. So I want to use him in whatever way is most efficient for this offense. And if that means handing it to him, great. But I think we've got running backs. We've got guys to get the football to in the backfield, so much so that I don't see him getting a ton of carries. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for the super chat, Billy A. I know what you're saying. I know where you're coming from. And I think they're going to get the most out of Curtis Samuel. I feel really confident in saying it. Ron is overconfident to the point where he's like, yo, he's not practicing. Yeah, he started out on the injured list with the groin. Now he's on the COVID list. Guess what? We're comfortable with this dude. He knows the system. We know him. We're good. We have nothing to worry about. So if they're not worried, I'm not worried. And I think this guy's going to come in. We got a taste of it last. Remember, I didn't want it. I didn't want any parts of Curtis Samuel. Remember, and I said, excuse me, there was a test against Carolina in week 16. And he passed that test with flying colors when he came out and he kicked our ass to the tune of like 7 touches for 170 yards. He passed the test with flying colors. As much as I wanted to shit on Curtis Samuel, I couldn't say anything after that. A lot of people were coming at me because you knew how I felt about him. And a lot of people were coming at me after that game saying, you sure you don't want Curtis Samuel? Did you see what he just did to us? And what am I going to say? I mean, all I can say was, no, I'm good. I still don't want him. But I saw the diversity. I saw what this guy brings to the table. Hurt us on the ground, hurt us through the air. I love what this guy brings to the table. So we'll see what happens. Billy, hey, thank you for that super chat. Got another super chat here. This one is from Sonny Rawson. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Sonny Rawson, who writes, my man Louie T says, good to hear your voice. What's going on, Sonny? Good to hear from you. He says, your description of we're back was perfect. Feels so good to watch live football again. Look, I try to paint as vivid a picture as I can when I describe things because that's how I feel. And that's exactly how I feel every year when that Hall of Fame game hits the TV screen and my eyes meet that Hall of Fame game. Look, the game itself is going to be trash. We all know this. It's not the game. It's what the game represents. I've stated that on the podcast. I stated it again tonight, but I'm conveying that to you guys that, look, I didn't love, the game and the action on the field. There was no Dak Prescott. I was looking forward to seeing him play. And when he tweaked his shoulder, that was the end of that. He probably would have played a series tonight, more likely than not. But because he tweaked his shoulder, there is no Dak. There is no Amari Cooper. There's none of, there was no Zeke Elliott. None of those guys played in the game tonight. So we knew there wasn't going to be no Ben Roethlisberger. For what? The guy's like 80 years old. He doesn't need to play in the Hall of Fame game. So we knew the game wasn't going to be any good. The real thing was it's football. That's the most important thing. Just like our game, this first preseason game against the Patriots, it's not going to be a great game. Okay, but we're going to watch it and we're going to love it because it's our team and we know the players. You guys don't know Adam from Eve on the Cowboys roster or the Steelers roster for that matter. So you don't care. You're not vested. There's no vested interest. But I care because, I love football. I don't give a shit. It could have been the Bengals and the Jaguars. I would have been glued to my television set for the first 10 minutes of this thing because it's the Hall of Fame game. And damn it, Randolph, Mortimer, we're back. Thank you for the super chat, Sonny Rawson. Let's see. Daniel Morgan, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Daniel Morgan, writes, what up, Lou? What up, Daniel? Says, you are the best, hands down. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I really do appreciate you, Daniel. He says, anyway, I'm living in Connecticut. I'm going back home to D.C. in a month. All us Washington football fans should get up and chop it up and have a good time. That would be awesome. I told you I'm working on getting out of the house now. I'm not there yet. And with all these different variants and COVID this and that, it makes it a lot harder to get out of the house as I want to. That said, the plan is to eventually get out of the house and, and get out here and chop it up amongst the family and have a great time. I think ultimately when I will be able to do that will be for the draft. hopefully next year I'm just going to be honest with you. I assume that the draft is going to be in shambles next year, similar to last year's draft, not this past year's draft, but the draft prior when it was done virtually, and Roger Goodell was announcing picks from his basement. I think we may be in a similar situation because I don't think we're going to be shut down again, but I do think that we're going to see things get worse before they get better again. So there may be a bit of a couple of steps being taken backwards to then go forwards. So I said all of that to say this: it's going to make it tough for us to get together and chop it up. But I'm not ruling anything out, and I can't wait till we can, get back to a sense of normalcy so that, situations like that can happen. Things like that can happen. And I can't wait. I've been dying to do this for like the last 2 years, and my plans have been derailed due to COVID. So we're going to get there eventually. We're going to get there eventually for sure. But thank you for the super chat, Daniel Morgan. Safe travels on the way down from Connecticut, and hopefully you have a great time when you return home. Got another super chat from the Penny Pincher. Thank you for the super chat, Penny Pincher. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you so much for that super chat. Got another one here from Red Wings 01. Thank you for the super chat, Red Wings 01, who writes, "Hey Lou, glad to see you back. Glad to be back. Thank you so much for that, Red Wings 01. Says this receiver battle has become an all-out war. I knew people were sleeping on Carter as a wide receiver, but not even I expected this out of him. Sims on a redemption arc too." I agree with you. Carter is interesting because I didn't realize. So first of all, let me make an amendment to a statement I made, and I've already done this, but I'll do it again. Someone hit me up, and let me see if I can pull that name, give them some love real quick. Mickey Moon hit me up, left a comment in one of the comment sections of the videos that I posted this week. It was like, because I had made the statement that Ron had him, DeAndre Carter, before. For some reason, I felt like DeAndre Carter's had a little stint, a little cup of coffee in Carolina with Ron, and their paths had crossed before. I was wrong. They've never been in the same organization, and he's never been coached by Ron Rivera before. So I needed to amend that. I don't like spreading misinformation. I don't want somebody saying some shit they heard me saying, and they go tell somebody else that, and somebody's like, "What? You sure about that?" And they think they got it from me. I don't want to. I'm not that guy. So I want to stop that right now. That said, I didn't realize in looking up that information, I didn't realize he had been in the league since 2015. Like, he's a lot older now. He's not 32. He's still like 27 or whatever. But I just didn't realize he had been chasing this NFL ghost for so long, chasing his dream to try to, get some stability in the NFL. So he's been around the block a couple of times. He's been with at least 6 or 7 different organizations, and there's a reason why he hasn't stuck. So whatever the case may be, he's showing well. He's giving himself an opportunity. Will it be enough? I told you a real telling sign will be who they trot out there on the very first punt of the preseason. That's going to go a long way in affecting my decision-making process when I start to make my, cuts down to 53. Who do they, if Danny Johnson is back there, which I don't think that's going to be the case, but if he's back there as their first guy returning punts, that tells me they're trying to keep 6 receivers. They don't want that extra fat of a 7th receiver. If it's DeAndre Carter and he looks good, he's giving himself a shot to make this team as the 7th receiver. If it's Steven Sims Jr., that means he's making, as you said, a redemption arc back towards trying to make this team, because for the longest, he was on the outside looking in. That redemption arc may be trending towards back on the roster. So I want to see who they trot out there as their first punt returner. That's going to be key, because the first guy they trot out there is the guy they want to take the longest, hardest look at. Okay, that's the guy they want to get the most reps to. So that's going to be really interesting, to say the least. All right. I wasn't expecting that out of him either, truth be told. I told you guys in OTAs, don't dismiss DeAndre Carter. I told you guys that, but I didn't expect to. That was like one of those throwaway lines. I didn't expect to actually be talking about him 2 weeks into camp. I'm not going to lie to you. Steven Sims either. So both of these guys are making a case. They're not going to make it easy on his staff. That's for sure. That's a good thing. Thank you for that super chat. Red Wings 01. Got another super chat. This is from my guy, Double M, Martin Matthews. Thank you for the super chat. Martin Matthews, who writes, hey, Louie. What's up, Martin? Says, call me a homer. But Steven Sims last year could have been his sophomore slump. If he makes this team, I doubt he has 2 bad seasons in a row. You could be right. And Ron kind of said, look, there was a lot on his plate last year. Steven Sims himself said, look, I was dealing with some injuries. I was not healthy last year. I had a lot going on. And, you know, not to make any excuses, but it was a brand new system. I was learning a lot of things. I had a lot on my plate. I didn't handle it well. That's true. And all of those things are factors. But at the end of the day, either you catch the football or you don't. Like, there's a lot of things we can blame on lack of production. You know, new system, figuring out where you fit in, trying to get on the field, but other guys are a lot further along in their understanding of the concepts. All of those are reasons why your production goes down. But when you're on the damn field and they throw you the football, that ain't got shit to do with injury this or new system that. It's simply seeing a football into your damn hands and catching it. He didn't do that last year. He muffed punts. He made mistakes. Those are things that are hard to wipe from the memory bank. That said, it was last year. Wipe it clean, and let's move on. Let's give this guy a chance to make amends. So Ron is doing that, and Ron has been pleased with what he's seen from Steven Sims Jr. to this point. A lot of people have been impressed with him. I've watched him run routes. He looks like the 2019 version of Steven Sims that we fell in love with and thought that was going to have a big season in 2020. Is it too little, too late is the question. And when I say too little, too late, I'm referring to you playing as poorly as you did prompted them to go out and not only draft De'Ami Brown, not only draft Dax Milne, but it also prompted them to sign Curtis Samuel and Adam Humphries. Had you stepped up, they still would have done some things at receiver, but it wouldn't have been as drastic as it was. So by you performing as poorly as you did and no one really stepping up outside of Cam Sims to give Terry any help, they had to overreact at the wide receiver position. And now it's put you in a bind because there's so many guys on this roster that can play the receiver position. You're on the outside looking in. So is it too little, too late for him? As a wise woman once told me, never say never. Never say never. So I'm not giving up on Steven Sims, but it's a tough uphill battle that he's going to have to climb up to get it done. I think you're right. If he makes a team, I can't envision him being anywhere near as bad as he was last year. I just can't see it. So thank you for that super chat, Martin Matthews. Got a super chat here from Twin D. Thank you for the super chat, Twin D. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Twin D, writes, last season, I sent you a message stating that I was going out on a limb to predict that Trap was going to make an impactful play. Your response was that I was way out on that limb by myself. Hashtag free Trap. I remember that comment. And I remember telling you you were on that limb. And I remember laughing at you as I was telling you you were out on that limb. I might have even sung some Tina Marie for you. Out on a limb, I'm giving in to you again. You were probably out on that limb by yourself then. I'm not saying you're out on that limb by yourself now, but you're not with a lot of company. That's for sure. So I'll tell you this. Trap's got a chance. This is how you know he's got a chance. He was so bad last year at safety, so bad that if he didn't serve a purpose anywhere else on the team, he would have been cut already. He was that bad as a safety. Just think of it like this. Last year was Ron's first year. He didn't know any of these guys, Adam from Eve, okay? So if you didn't show him a reason to be kept, he got rid of you. They signed the guy from the Steelers. Remember the safety we signed last year from the Steelers? They cut his ass before the season started. And Ron didn't know him. They signed him. They thought he could come in and help. Sean Davis. They saw him in camp for about a month, and they said, okay, yeah, this guy, he's not good enough. They cut him. He didn't add any other value. He didn't need to be here. That's how you know Troy Apke adds value somewhere else. He wasn't helping at safety. If you're not helping at safety, you better be helping somewhere else in big time. Same thing with Jared Norris. Man, you better be damn good on special teams because he ain't playing no linebacker for us. Only time you see Jared Norris on the field is in short yardage situations down by the goal line when you're trying to put as much beef on the field as possible in big guys and linebackers, things of that nature. You get down to the 1 yard line, you'll see Jared Norris in there from time to time. But for the most part, Jared Norris isn't playing any snaps at linebacker. They don't view him as the guy that they want on the field. But boy, does he play a mean special teams. That's his calling card. Troy Apke's calling card is special teams. And that may end up being enough to keep Trap on this roster. And that's all I'm telling y'all is don't be surprised if Trap makes this team. They're continuing this experiment at corner, and he hasn't been half bad. He isn't good enough yet to put on the field, but he's still learning. And they like his skill set. They like his length. They like his speed. They like his size. Pause. There's a lot to like there. There's a lot to work with. But while he's figuring that out, they know he's going to give them everything they need on special teams. So look out for Trap. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. You were right, Twindy. Now, you're not right yet. He hasn't made the team yet, but he's got a shot. Let's see. Got another super chat from Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. Metaphor. Your fourth super chat of the night writes, Dak's shoulder more thin than minor. Dungeon work it right now. Look, you got to speak English, man. Don't have me over here trying to decipher what the hell you're talking about. I have no idea what this comment is saying. Speak English. I do want to read this comment real quick from Tommy, who writes, DeAndre Carter, 9 fumbles in 3 years with the Texans and Bears. I don't know if that's true or not. Let's just assume that you're telling the truth. That he's fumbled 9 times in 3 years. It's a lot of damn fumbles. Guess what? None of them have come in a Washington football team uniform. That's the advantage he has over Steven Sims. Now, again, all he's got to do is fumble one time, and then we'll say, okay, he ain't no better than Steven Sims. So if things are all equal, give me the better receiver or give me the guy that we can trust. That's Steven Sims. So he's going to have to take care of the football. But Steven Sims did fumble here last year. He did cost us a game last year. He did almost cost us another game with his shenanigans. So that's in our minds. That's in Ron's mind. That's in their minds as a staff. Carter doesn't have those issues here in Washington, at least not yet. We'll see. Thank you for the super chat, Red Wings 01. Double up. Really do appreciate you, Red Wings 01. Thank you for doubling up. My guy, Red Wings 01, writes, quarterbacks showed out today. Even Steven Montez had a good day. It was interesting that he said this was his first time he's ever been in the same system for consecutive years, including college. Helps his development. Absolutely. Steven Montez has all the tools. He got a big arm. He's got the size. He's a good athlete. everything you look for in a college, in a quarterback, Steven Montez has, which is why his lack of development in college was disappointing, but that's part of the reason. You know, you want to stunt a young quarterback's growth. I've talked about this so many times, going all the way back to Jason Campbell. You want to stunt a young quarterback's growth, keep switching coordinators. Keep giving him someone else with new plays and new verbiage and new things that he's got to learn. Keep switching it up. It'll stunt any young player's growth, especially a quarterback. So for Montez, that's good. That's great. That's fine. That's dandy. Again, it's not going to help him necessarily here. Maybe that helps him somewhere else. But I honestly think his best opportunity to help us is in a Taysom Hill role, you know. But it's good. You say all quarterbacks had a great day today, including Montez. He finished off practice with a touchdown pass. The previous 2 days, he had thrown an interception to end practice. Well, Trapp dropped an interception. You know, 2 plays before he threw the touchdown pass, Trapp dropped an interception that would have ended practice for him again. So while he did throw a touchdown pass, he should have thrown an interception too. But good for Steven Montez, and hopefully he continues to develop. But I'm not shocked that, you know, he didn't have the same coordinator, you know, multiple years in back-to-back years in college, because that's the state of college football. You know, these coaches, they use these platforms. And again, you know, if you're a really good coach, you're not looking to stay at Colorado, you know, unless that's your dream job, unless you played for Colorado and it's your alma mater and your family's from there and you want to live there. And yeah, but Colorado's a stepping stone job. You go to Colorado, you ball out, you take your team to a bowl game, you know, you play in the Pac-12 championship, and other teams around the country take notice, and you get a better job at coaching in the Big 10 or the Big 12 or the SEC. You know, you get a better job. That's a stepping stone job. But, you know, if you've got a coordinator that's coaching really well, he's going to get a head coaching job. If you've got a coordinator that stinks, he's going to get canned. So it's not uncommon to see guys having multiple coordinators while at school. I mean, look at Alabama. Every year it seems like, or every other year, they got a new offensive coordinator, you know, because their coordinators get jobs. Like, that's how you either repair your image in the case of Steve Sarkisian, or that's how you get a head coaching job in the case of Mike Locksley. You go to Alabama, they're going to tear it up. They got talent. You know, all you got to do is not F it up and you'll get a job. So you're going to have multiple coordinators. So, you know, it's how it plays out sometimes. Anyway, I digress. Thank you for the super chat. Red Wings 01. Got another super chat from Billy A. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Billy A. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Billy Amp, writes, hot take. Ooh, I like it. Spicy. Let's see what he got to say. D. Forrest is making the football team, and he will have significant playing time. If not this year, then next. Scott, not a bad OC, just want to see more. Didn't want to fry Gibby, but could have used more JD more creatively as a wide receiver, in my opinion. So I didn't take it as you were going after Scott Turner. You just wanted to make sure that they understand the best way to utilize Curtis Samuel, because he got the most out of his talents last year in terms of production with the way he was utilized last season. They're aware of that, is what I'm telling you. And I like Scott Turner. You know that. I thought he did a really good job last year, given the circumstances that he was provided with. Gibby was a rookie last year. It was his first time playing running back. So, you know, I thought he performed well for the situation he was put in as well. JD, I thought they did a really good job of getting him the football out of the backfield. I was cool with the way they used him. They didn't need to split any of the running backs out more. We thought they were going to do that with Gibson. They're trying that more this year. I don't think he's a fluid route runner, though. I told you guys that already. So I don't see him separating and snapping off a dude and breaking him off something proper and separating. I didn't see that from him on tape. I told you guys that. McKissick is more of that guy, but we'll see what happens. I just know the more that these running backs can do, the more versatility that they provide, the more creative they can get with some of their sets. Our best formation last year, and a part of this was because we didn't have any receivers outside of Terry and Cam Sims. Our best formation last year was 21 personnel, and I kept telling you guys that 2 backs, 1 tight end. That was when we were at our best last season, when both backs were on the field at the same time. And we did that quite a bit early in the season. I think they kind of backed off of that as Antonio Gibson had the injury. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that 21 personnel, but also keep in mind, because we have all of the talented guys at receiver now and guys they trust at tight end more likely than not this year, you may see, less of the 21 personnel than you saw, because in order to put 2 backs on the field, it means you either have to take a receiver off the field. Well, you don't have to take a receiver off the field. You can have 3 receivers on the field. No, excuse me. In order to do that, you have to take a receiver off the field. You can't have 3 receivers on the field, 2 backs, and a tight end. So either you got to take another tight end off the field, or you got to take a receiver off the field to have 2 backs on the field. So I don't know if they're going to feel comfortable doing that or not this season. But that's just part of the fact that we have all of this different versatility and positional flex and all this talent. It's going to give them so many different options. And I think we are all looking forward to that. Thank you for that super chat, Billy. Hey, got another one here from Martin Matthews. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Double M. My guy Martin Matthews writes, "Hey, Louie." Hey, Martin. He says, "I was wondering about DeAndre Carter as well. Come to find out, he is a Martin Mayhew guy." So my guy Moon that I told you got me straight, he was the one that made the connection for me. He was the one that said, I'm connecting the dots here, and it was Mickey Moon. Mickey Moon was the one that connected the dots for me, and he was like, "Hey, look, I figured it out," because I was convinced it was Ron that was the connection, that he was the link that connected all of this together, and it wasn't Ron. And Carter was never in Carolina, and they never crossed paths before. So he went and looked through the archives, and I looked at his history too. And he was in San Francisco, but I didn't connect the fact that Martin Mayhew was in San Francisco at the same time as DeAndre Carter. So it all makes sense now. And being that Mayhew is the GM, he would be really familiar with him and bring him on board. So it all makes perfectly good sense. And you're absolutely spot on, Martin Matthews, that Martin Mayhew is the link to why DeAndre Carter is here in Washington, as they were together in San Francisco. So you are spot on, just as Mickey Moon was a couple of days ago. Thank you for that super chat, Martin Mayhew. Got a super chat here from Carlton Pagano Jackson, my guy CPJ. What it do? Thank you for the super chat, CPJ. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, "My dog Lou." What up, CPJ? Says, "I'm glad I caught you tonight. Usually I'm at work, but the season is upon us." Indeed it is. Special group we got this year, hashtag Mob Squad. Let's go. And just so you know, stand up. We in the building, Mob Squad. And we were actually live on Mob Squad tonight for the Cowboys game. Watching a little bit of it, chopping it up, talking amongst each other. So if you're not a member of the Mob Squad, what are you waiting on? We will be in the mob during these preseason games. I will be in the mob live during the preseason games, and directly after we will be live for Washington football overtime. So I'm going to rev the engine up in the preseason and get lubed up and get ready to go. So when the season gets here, we can hit the ground running. So expect everything to ramp up here as we get this thing underway. And it's funny how the preseason schedule goes, because we start next Thursday with our first preseason game. Then the next week we play on a Friday. Then the next week, our final preseason game against Baltimore is on a Saturday. So we go Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday to wrap up the preseason. Then there's no game that following week. That's where that last preseason game would have been. There's no game that week. And then the following week after that, we got the Chargers. And then we got a quick turnaround, Giants 5 days later. And then we're off and we're running. So I am looking forward to it. Make sure that you sign up for the Mob Squad. If you haven't already done so, we will be there live in the chat for the first preseason game on the road at New England. And that should be a fun game because the Patriots have so many new players. They're going to roll those guys out. They won't be treating this like, a ho-hum, because the reason the Cowboys and the Steelers could treat this game like they did is because they're going to have 4 preseason games. They're going to have one more than everybody else. So they're still going to have 3 preseason games. So they'll still have a chance to work everybody in. The Patriots, they're going to start these guys. Brady used to always play in that first preseason game. So they're going to roll Cam Newton out, all these new toys that they have. They're going to roll all the guys. We're going to see a lot of the Patriots starters because that's what they do in the preseason. They don't treat it like, oh, it's the preseason, one of the rest guys. They're going to go full bore. So we're going to get a test from the Patriots. We don't come with our A game. They will move it right down the field and get into the end zone. So I look forward to seeing how that first preseason game goes. So we'll find out how special of a group we have. It feels like something special is brewing, but can't say it's a special group until we start to see these guys in action. And that includes the preseason, But this is the thing. I always make sure I temper everything because I've gotten excited. And I've told you guys this before. With preseason action, the defense will come out, and they're getting stops, and they're getting off the field, and they're flying around. I remember like 3-4 preseasons ago, I come back after one of those preseason games. I'm all excited. Man, did you see the defense? Bashar Breeland this and D'Angelo Hall that. And, man, this defense is flying around. Man, this defense is going to be crazy this year. And then we had one of the worst defenses in the league. So I don't want to get too caught up in, the preseason. I remember one year, I want to say it's like 2 years ago, Deron Payne batted the ball in the air and Monte Nicholson picked it off. And I think he ran it back for a touchdown against the Bengals early in the preseason. And we were all amped up. Oh, my God, this defense is going to be crazy this year. Defense was ass that year. So you want the defense to look good. You want the offense to look good, but you don't want to go overboard with it, essentially. So I'm glad you caught me too, CPJ, man. I'm glad that you were able to catch me live tonight. And it's always great to hear from you. And Mob Squad, stand up. We in the building. Thank you for the super chat, CPJ. Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. 5th super chat of the night for my guy, Metaphor. Really do appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, a wise man once told me, like, sub, and hit that bell. I've learned a lot since and get to share my love and anger with Burgundy and Gold. Hop in, plenty of room in the ride. Next stop, SoFi, Ron's plan. Now, you say SoFi. Remember, that first game is home, okay? First game is home. We're not going to SoFi. We don't go to SoFi. We don't go to SoFi at all, actually. So we do go to Vegas, but I think that's like Allegiant. I think that's Allegiant. So next stop is, if we're talking road games, the third game of the season, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, is Buffalo. I think. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, y'all heard the man. Hit the sub button if you haven't already done so, right? And I'll give you a visual for those of you who learn better that way, all right? Hit the sub button. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button. It's not hard, and it don't cost you a thing. Don't cost you a thing, all right? Really do appreciate you, Metaphor. And like he says, plenty of room in the whip. If you want to get in, get in. Plenty of seats. If we need to make more space, we can. We want all aboard, man. The more, the merrier. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Sonny Rawson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Sonny Rawson. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Sonny, writes, with all the diversity with this roster, it almost seems like it's just one giant DB pool competing for 10 to 11 spots. WJ3, Kendall, Juice, McCain, Roberts, Moreland, Forrest, Collins, Curl, Shays, Reeves. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Remember, I talked about this when we were doing our positional groups in the rankings, and I said it'll be interesting to see how they assess the positions, both safety and corner. Do they just join them together and call them DBs? Remember, defensive backs coach Chris Harris says We're not corners or safeties. We DBs, meaning you got to be able to do everything. Case in point, Bobby McCain, you got to be able to play 40 yards back as a single high free safety, but also, if need be, step up, 2 yards away from the line of scrimmage and drop into the slot and play over that wide receiver because you're a DB. That's what you do. You're a safety, you're a corner, you do it all. You're a DB. And so I think they're going to look at it as DBs, not corner and safety. We're keeping 5 corners and 5 safeties, but hey, we keeping 10 or 11 DBs. And I think that is a fair way of assessing that, because I think ultimately that's what they're going to do because of, like you said, the diversity, because of the positional flex of, several guys that can do multiple things, like Kendall Fuller, like McCain, like Cam Curl. These guys are so versatile that they could fit in either one of those categories. So, instead of trying to put guys in a box, we'll just go with DBs. So I think it's 10 or 11. I don't think it's 9. It's not 12. You just name, let's see how many guys you name. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it right there. And you forgot trap. That would make it 12 guys competing for 10 to 11 spots. Somebody's going to be the odd man out of this group that you just listed, and you pretty much listed all of the guys that are going to more likely than not make the team, with the exception of Trap. Don't forget Trap. I keep telling you guys this. He is in the mix. I still don't think he's going to make the team. I would not be shocked, however, if he does. So I'm with you, Sonny. The positional flex is off the charts. It's what has me so excited with this group, but it's one thing on paper to be excited. It's another thing for these guys to go and ball out and make it happen. So still looking to see them do that. But that's why I can't wait to the preseason gets underway, because I want to see these guys come out and make it happen. I'm excited, man. Again, haven't been this excited about the preseason in quite some time. And hopefully we stay clean. The last time we went to New England, Darius Geis lost his ACL, so hopefully we're able to steer clear of any chicanery nonsense. Hopefully IR is somewhere out on the West Coast, and he's able to leave us alone and let us get through the game in one piece. But in any event, thank you for that super chat, Sonny Rawson. Got another super chat. This is from my guy, DCJ. Thank you for the super chat, DCJ. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, DCJ, writes, yo, Lou, what's good? What's good, DCJ? He says, man, I watched a couple of series of the Hall of Fame game. Haskins will most likely be done soon. Same panic in the pocket and 3 to 7-yard passes, shaking my head. So, I caught the whole first half. I caught his very first possession. And, his first throw, it was solid. To a receiver underneath, found the open guy. He was able to turn it up, get up the field, get a first down. And then on the next throw, they ran it on the next play. And then it was second down, I want to say. It might have been first down. And they got a shallow cross. His feet are all over the place. Like you said, kind of panicking a little bit because the internal clock is going off. Bells and whistles are being sounded because he should have gotten rid of it already. And he knows it. That's why his feet got a little bit happy. But still got a nice little shallow cross underneath. You hit this guy. It'll be a 4-yard gain maybe. Put you in a nice advantageous situation. If it's 2nd and 6, great. If it's 3rd and 6, it's manageable. Guy can't be any more than 3-4 yards away from Dwayne, and he throws a 95-mile-an-hour fastball that skips off his hands. And I'm like, same old D. Even though he's on a different team, same old D. Same old Dwayne. That has no ability to take some off, no touch. I don't miss him. That's for damn sure. But they'll get their fix of him in Pittsburgh. That's for sure, certain. So thank you for the super chat, DCJ. Greatly appreciate you. Got a super chat here from Bloodshot Sports. Thank you for the super chat, Bloodshot Sports. Greatly appreciate you. Bloodshot Sports writes, what up, Lou? What up, Bloodshot? besides the QB position, what's your biggest concern with this roster? Hail to the football team. Biggest concern for the football team at this moment would be two things. Offensive line. We've had musical chairs because of different things, COVID, injuries. So we've had musical chairs, like Charles Leno Jr. wasn't at practice today. So you had Cornelius Lucas out there. You had Sadiq Charles getting some reps at left tackle. Brandon Sheriff was out due to COVID. He just returned to practice today. So you had, Sadiq Charles getting some reps at left guard. You had Eric Flowers taking some reps. So there's so much change on that offensive line that I would just like to see some continuity. I would just like to see 5 guys that they believe in getting reps together and building trust next to one another. The only 2 guys that can say, I know what the guy next to me is going to do are, and he can't say that about both sides. Neither one of them can say that about the guy to the opposite side of him. But Chase Roullier knows the guy to his right. He knows what he's going to do. That's Brandon Sheriff. And Brandon Sheriff say, the guy to my left, Chase Roullier, I know what he's going to do. But Sheriff doesn't know what the right tackle is going to do. And Chase Roullier doesn't know what the left guard is going to do, even though he did play with Wes Schweitzer last year. So I may have to walk that back a little bit because he did have some experience with Wes Schweitzer last year. So I would just like them to find the 5 guys. And I think I know who it is already. I told you. I think they're four out of the 5 positions are spoken for. If everyone's healthy, all bodies are willing and able, it's Charles Leno Jr. at left tackle. It's Wes Schweitzer at left guard. It's Chase Roullier at center. It's Brandon Sheriff at right guard. And I think it's Samuel Cosme at right tackle. I think he has pretty much locked that down in terms of giving himself a chance to start these preseason games to really show the staff that these games aren't too big, that everything you see in practice, I'm able to carry over into the game and I'm ready. And that's why they drafted him. So he's going to get an opportunity. And if he takes advantage of that opportunity, he's going to be the starter. But that worries me until we get some continuity there. I told you I'm not as worried because I like the depth, but I still want the starters to be on one accord, in lockstep with one another. When you have issues on the offensive line, it's not a lot of times a physical thing and breakdown. It's usually mental breakdowns. You miscommunicated. You thought this guy was going to do something. He didn't do it. Just like the Giants game when Kyle Allen fumbled that football. That was simply a breakdown in communication. The Giants didn't do anything special there. That was simply them blitzing an extra defender, and we had enough to pick it up. 2 guys didn't communicate. The left guard and I think it was the guard in the center. It might have been the guard in the tackle, but it was definitely Wes Schweitzer because he just got in. And you're thinking that you're going to get that communication. You don't. And a guy comes scot-free, and all of a sudden the ball's loose. So I just want them to be able to get that down pat, get that cohesion and cohesiveness and get on one accord. Now, I'm not overly concerned because I think 4 of the 5 positions, and really I think all 5 of them, they know what they want to do. Linebacker depth. I'm saying the same things over and over again because these are the only 2. I feel good about all the positions on the team. Stands for linebacker and the depth. Now, they feel really good about Jamin Davis. They feel really good about Cole Holcomb. Ron has had nothing but great things to say about John Bostic and his leadership. Khaleke Hudson, I told you already, I think he's going to be one of the most improved players on the roster. But after those 4 guys, I'm not convinced that there's enough depth to carry this team if we have to tap into it. Hopefully, we got no issues at linebacker, and we don't even have to worry about the depth. But if that were to become an issue, I think that's where we may have to hit the streets. And that may happen after cuts are made in the preseason. We may go scrounging on somebody else's roster, bring a guy in, and, have that guy ready to go in case of an emergency. Who knows? That said, those are my real concerns. I'm really not that concerned about any other position, even quarterback to a lesser degree. I'm like, it is what it is. I've already reconciled in my brain what's going to happen. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days with 50-50. That's why he's 50-50. I already know what it is. Running back, I feel really good. Wide receiver, I feel really good. Tight end, that's another position you could be concerned about, But Logan Thomas has instilled in me a level of confidence that did not exist a season ago. So as far as that position is concerned, if something were to happen to Logan, okay, now we're in trouble. But Logan was an Iron Man last year. I don't see that changing. And as long as he's available, I feel good about the tight end position. And I think John Bates is going to continue to grow. I told you that third tight end position is up for grabs. Tamarick Hemingway, Ricky Seals-Jones, and obviously Sammy's Reyes. Those guys are going to duke it out for that third and final tight end spot. I've already talked about Tamarick Hemingway and not counting him out. Talked about that already. Ricky Seals-Jones is a guy that had an injury early in camp. He's back. Don't count him out. That'll be interesting to see. After the first wave of players come out of the game, after Logan Thomas gets his one possession or so against New England, who's that first tight end in there? Who's that next guy in? Now, obviously, it should be Bates. But if they go to a two tight end set, who's the first guy on the field? If on that first possession, when Logan's still in and they go three tight ends, they got a short yardage situation, who's the third tight end? Like, those are the things you should be looking for in this preseason game to give you a tell as to where they're leaning on certain positions, okay? Who's the fourth defensive end? Well, right now it's Casey Toohill. But that's what you should be looking for. After Sweat and Young are out of the game, who are the next two guys up? It's going to be James Smith-Williams. Who's the other guy? It's going to be Casey Toohill, more likely than not. Okay? After Casey Toohill, who's the next guy? That's going to tell you who they're leaning towards if it's not Casey Toohill. Who's the next guy that's getting reps? Is it Bradley King? Is it Shaka Toney? These are the things you should be looking for. That's how you decipher how the coaching staff is looking at these players, because they're going to give the most reps to the guys they're most intrigued by so they can have film to break down to figure out if this is the guy that can get it done or not. You earn these opportunities by what you do in practice, and then they give you opportunities to take that over to the game and translate it. If you don't, then the next guy is going to get the reps the next game. That's how this works. So that's why the preseason is going to be so fascinating, because who's the first guy in, at the safety position after those safeties start to come out of the game? That's when you start looking at those things. In the slot, who are they moving in and out? How many reps is Roberts getting? These are the things you start to look at. Okay, yeah, he didn't play until the third team. So you're like, yeah, he's way down the depth chart right now. They're not really feeling him. You can decipher these things in the preseason. So I know I went way off topic, but my biggest concern right now is offensive line continuity and then linebacker depth. After that, I feel really good about this roster. I really do. I don't think there are many holes on this roster outside of those two positions, really. Tight end, I think, is going to come along slowly. I've already talked about that. It's going to be a process with the tight end position. These guys aren't going to just jump in and start killing it. But Logan Thomas affords us the ability to bring those guys along slow because of what he did for us last year. So I feel good about the tight end position. So those are the two positions for me right now. Thank you for that super chat, Bloodshot Sports. Red Wings 01, thank you for tripling up. Greatly appreciate you. Red Wings 01 writes, breaking, those DeShaun Watson Eagles talks are heating up. They have been heating up for quite some time. Remember, I did an entire podcast about DeShaun Watson and the sweepstakes, and I said, don't be surprised if he lands in Philadelphia. That was one of the topics of conversation. Like, I don't want him in this division unless he's a member of the Washington football team, but I already told you he's not going to be a member of the Washington football team. The Eagles, they're interesting because I don't think they fully believe in Jalen Hurts. And I've said this a million times. They drafted Hurts to be Carson Wentz's backup. Nothing more, nothing less. The only reason he got in is because Wentz had a meltdown. A lot of people don't understand. I understood exactly what Howie Roseman, a lot of Eagles fans were up in arms. Oh my God, Howie Roseman is terrible. What is he doing? I said, I know what Howie's doing. He's sick and tired of Wentz getting injured and then having to have someone save his ass. And they didn't have that guy. They didn't have Nicholas Foles, the year before. They had to go to 89-year-old Josh McCown. And he was like, you know what? If Wentz gets injured again, we need to have an insurance policy. That's what he was supposed to be. But then Wentz has the meltdown and like, well, shit. Now we got to collect on the insurance policy. He's got to actually go in and play. I think they realize that while Jalen Hurts is solid, they can do better. And if they get DeShaun Watson, there goes the damn neighborhood. I don't want him in this division, but I think the Eagles are desperate enough, because you got to be pretty damn desperate to trade for DeShaun Watson right now, not knowing the circumstances with his case, not knowing what the outcome is going to be, not knowing when this guy is really going to be able to play ball. Because right now the assumption is he's going to be able to play ball. The NFL is like, look, we ain't got shit to rule on right now. As far as we're concerned, he's good. He's cleared to play ball. But in any day, that could change. They could make a trade for him, and 2 weeks before the season starts, some new developments come out, and now the NFL's like, whoa, wait. Hey, he's suspended indefinitely. We got to figure this shit out. And, I mean, you just traded a guy. You traded a bunch of draft picks, and trust me, you're not getting your stuff back, okay? All sales are final here. You might as well burn that receipt, because once you fork over those picks, the Texans are like, you ain't getting these shits back. So you've got to be really desperate to trade for Watson right now because of the uncertainty. There are plenty of teams that are interested, but there are no guarantees right now with his situation. So it's hard to really make that move, because you're going to have to give up a lot to get it. The Eagles are telling you that they're not sold on Jalen Hurts. If they go after Watson, and I don't blame them for doing this. Don't get me wrong. I do not blame them for doing this, because he is a massive upgrade. And Watson would upgrade probably 28 of the 32 teams in the league if he were to enter their roster. So I don't blame them for that. But it's also telling if they make that trade right now. So we'll see what happens. The Eagles don't give a shit about draft picks. They've proven that in the past. So I think they're going to make the move. It's just a matter of when, feels like. Thank you for the super chat. Red Wings 01. Got another super chat here from Metaphor, 6th of the night. Really do appreciate you, Metaphor. Who writes, my bad, bro. Autocorrect. It's all good. Shit happens. Says DiNucci was working it, and Dak's shoulder strain more than minor. They said he's going to be ready week 1. That's what they're supposed to say. I think he'll be ready for week 1. They're going to take it slow. It's not minor, because if it was, you're out of camp for a few days, maybe a week, and then you're back in there. The fact that we're talking about him being ready for week 1 and probably not playing in any preseason games tells you that it's not just a regular shoulder tweak and he's fine. Anytime we start talking about shoulders anyway, I get nervous. So I do think it's more than minor, but I think he'll be fine. DiNucci was working it. He got in there and was stroking that thing. And yeah, year 2 of Ben DiNucci may be much better than year 1, but we'll see. It's easy to stroke it against dudes that might not even be in the NFL, which is probably what he was stroking it against. But anyway, in any event, you want your dude out there stroking it. I be stroking. Yeah, that's what I be doing. Be stroking to the east. I be stroking to the west. I be stroking to the one that I love the best. What y'all know about that, man? I don't know about that. Darren Long, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Darren Long, writes, the excitement is building. I can't wait to see this team play on the field. Defense should be very nasty this year. I'm hoping so. All the components are there for this defense to be destructive. And the question is, can they build up enough confidence early and enough swag early so that when they hit that patch of games against Allen and Mahomes and Rodgers, because it comes relatively early. We're talking into October. That's when you hit that nasty streak of games where you're like, yo, hope you got your shit together, because they coming. And so you'd like to see them, get after it against the Chargers, but they got a young stud too, slinging that thing around in Justin Herbert. So you hope they can get their rocks off early like they did last year, build a little bit of confidence, and, do some damage against Danny Dimes and those boys and the Giants. and then, start taking that show on the road against the Bills and some of these upper echelon QBs. But, we'll see. The defense, again, I told you, and I've said this, I feel like I'm a broken record. I'm going to say it again anyway. We're really going to find out how good this defense is this year, because we've talked them up. We've talked about how good this D-line is and, the potential for these linebackers. And, oh, my God, the secondary looks to be so robust, and they're so diverse, and there's so much positional flex and this, that, and the third. And, yeah, all of this shit is great on paper. But Mahomes and Rodgers and Wilson and Allen, they doing dudes on the field. They ain't doing shit on paper, okay? They destroying cats on the field. So we can talk about all this shit on paper. Because when we saw one of these big dog quarterbacks and he started barking, we took a step back. We all that noise we was making, I want Tom Brady and all this shit, all that barking and all that noise we was making, Brady goddamn silenced our ass real quick. Now, it's a different year. It's a different team, different components. I'm aware. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. We're going to find out. The excitement is definitely building, though, Darren. I'm with you. Excuse me. I can't wait. Bart Scott. Can't wait. And I think a lot of you are feeling the exact same way. Thank you for the super chat, Darren Long. Greatly appreciate you. DCJ, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, DCJ. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, DCJ, writes, I'm limited on all this until I see some game action. I'm right there with you. As excited as I am, I told you, you can be excited. You can also be realistic. Don't allow your excitement to bleed into your expectations sometimes. Sometimes you got to be able to draw that clear line in the middle. There needs to be a clear delineation there between excitement and realistic expectations. I go into these preseason games with no expectations, just excited. You can do that in the preseason. Once these games start, that's when you've got to be realistic. Look, they got Mahomes. Shit's not going to be easy. They got Rodgers. They got Devontae Adams. They got Aaron Jones. Shit's not going to be easy, okay? You got to be real with yourself. Some of y'all don't give a shit who the opponent is or what the circumstances are. We're going to find a way to win. I never pick against my team. Well, you keep doing that shit. I'm not. That's not how I operate, not how I roll. So I'm with you. Till I see it on the field, I can sit here and tell you I got the defensive line ranked number 1. Well, when it's 3rd and 7, games on the line, and we're playing against Mahomes or we're playing against Rodgers, are those guys going to step up and make a play or not? That's when you find out if we really got the number 1 defensive line in all of football or not. Because Myles Garrett is stepping up in those situations. Khalil Mack and Von Miller and the upper echelon, TJ Watt and these guys, they're stepping up in those situations. Aaron Donald is stepping up. When his team needs him in a crucial situation, late in the ball game, and they need a stop, those are the guys that are getting the stops, whether they're double teamed or not. No excuses. They find a way, especially if they get one-on-one. He says, I'm done with speculation. All I want in first game is Matt, Taylor, and Steven. Some fits. No Allen. Agree. Allen is hurt. Also, see our depth and if it's legit. So you're going to see a ton of Taylor. You'll see Fitz early on, maybe for a possession or two. And then I think Taylor probably takes the remaining portion of the first half. And then I think you probably see Steven Montez for the entire duration of the second half. So you're right. Mad Taylor, Mad Steven, Montez. You'll see Fitz maybe a possession. If they score on that first possession, that might be one and done. That might be it. If they go 3 and out, you probably see him for a second possession. No Allen. You won't see him more likely than not. Now, we say that now because he's out, but Ron said he's day-to-day. So there could be a situation where Allen's back in the mix, early next week, and they're comfortable enough with him to put him out there for a little bit. But the assumption is no Allen. He's hurt right now, and they don't need, as he said with Ioannidis, there's no need to push him. It's a preseason game. There's no need to push Ioannidis. There's no need to push Allen. So I think that's why you have Steven Montez. So, yeah, I do think it's going to be plenty of Taylor, plenty of Steven Montez. He says, also see the depth and see if it's legit. Absolutely. That's what we're looking for. Those second and third string guys, what do they have? Because we may need some of these practice squad dudes. Yeah, they may not make the final 53, but you're gonna need some of those guys that are on the practice squad. They're gonna have to be elevated at some point. So can those dudes play? That's all important as well. So I'm right there with you, DCJ. Thank you for that super chat. Got another one here from Sonny Rawson. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Think you tripling up at this point, Sonny. Really do appreciate you. Might even be your fourth. My guy Sonny writes, if we can get at least 21st rated or better QB play this season instead of the 32nd rank we had last year, really feel like we can get after some teams this year, albeit the schedule is what it is. I think we'll be fine at the quarterback position from a production standpoint. My concern isn't production. My concern is turnovers. They're going to produce. We got enough talent. We got enough skilled players. We got enough weapons that we're going to produce. Are you offsetting the production with turnovers? That's the question. Because if you're throwing for 337 and 3 touchdowns, but you threw 2 interceptions, did those 2 interceptions change the game? Did you offset the 3 touchdowns with 2 interceptions that led to touchdowns? And maybe one of those changed the whole complexion of the game. We're dominating. We're up. We look like we're about to run away with it. Then you throw a pick 6, and all of a sudden they're back in the game. We were up 14-0, and we were looking to drive in the dagger. And now you throw a pick 6, it's 14-7. They come back and take the lead, 21 unanswered points. Then you go down, score a touchdown, your third of the day, and to make it 21-21. And then, right when we feel like we're seizing back control of the game, you throw your second pick of the game. You got 3 touchdowns, but those 2 picks ultimately cost us the game. That's what I'm afraid of. Are the interceptions and the turnovers going to outweigh or offset the production that we're going to get? I think we're going to get production out of this group. And I've already said, I don't think you're going to get one quarterback for all 17 all the way through. I hope we don't have to see 3 of them. My thought process is we'll see 2 of them, but more likely than not, we're going to probably see all 3. That's no way to live life in this league. But just keeping it real, just keeping a buck and some change. So anyway, I digress. Like you said, Sonny, we're going to be able to get after it if the offense is scoring, because we feel like the defense is going to give us a chance in most ball games. But we've said that before, again, albeit with a different crop of players, different defensive coordinator, all of that good stuff. But we've been optimistic about the defense before in the preseason and in camp, only to have them fall flat on their face before. I don't see that being this group, but only time will tell, But I feel like the offense is going to be the X factor, because we feel like we know we're going to be able to lean on this defense, even if they have some games where they don't have their fastball, because you are playing against the best of the best in the league at the quarterback position. You are playing against Mahomes. You are playing against Rodgers. You are playing against Wilson. You are playing against Allen. You are playing against Herbert. You're playing against some of the better quarterbacks in the league, Matt Ryan. All these guys are on the schedule. So you understand that there will be a game or 2 in there where you're like, look, shit, man, Mahomes had it going, or man, look, Rodgers was dialed in. I mean, what you want us to do? But for the most part, we should have a shot in a lot of these games. And we feel like the defense is going to give us that shot. The difference between us having a shot and winning is probably going to be the offense and how productive they are. And probably more importantly, are they able to take care of the football? Because as we saw last year, and again, we weren't playing the likes of the opponents that we'll be playing this year that can score 30 plus. We've gone through this exercise already. and how Green Bay and Kansas City and Tampa Bay, which we have on the schedule, Tom Brady as well, how these teams scored the ball last year. We've already gone through those teams being up over 30 points a game. And the Chiefs were like 29.6 or whatever. Pretty much 30 points a game. But we saw last year, even without explosiveness on offense, if they just take care of the damn ball, even if it results in a punt, and just give the defense a chance, they'll find their way. Remember that we had slow starts last year multiple times. Can't tell you how many times we dug ourselves a 14 or 17 or 20-point hole. And we're looking around at each other and we're saying that, well, this shit got ugly quick. Now, let's not turn this into a 38-3 ass whooping and assault. Let's not embarrass ourselves here. And then all of a sudden, third quarter comes, we shut the faucet off, the defense wakes up, and all of a sudden, we're back in the game. Now, we may not win it, but we're back in the game. Don't want to do that this year. And that's why it's important that the offense score points. Thank you for that super chat, Sonny Rawson. Got another one here from Metaphor, 7th of the night. Really do appreciate you, Metaphor, who writes, Ramon position flexing inside that hat today, Lou. Yep. He definitely had to take a back seat. He was getting a little bit too, big for his britches. His ego was getting big, and I had to dial him back a little bit. And it's all good. He'll make an appearance down the road. But yeah, he had to take tonight off. He was feeling himself a little bit too much. So thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Landry Balbin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Landry Balbin, writes, hey, Louie, what up, Landry? Do coordinators, coaches ask questions to ex-players of other teams? Like, will Cowboys and Giants ask Sprinkle and Ryan Anderson what our verbiage and plays are to game plan against us? Absolutely, they do. But there's only so much those guys can tell them because things change. Like Sprink, for instance, he should know the offense. He was in it last year, right? So he's not in the huddle, though. So he doesn't know the play call. He can't know what's going on. He's not going to be on the field to be able to say, yeah, they're going to run this. Now, the only thing you have to be able to do if you've got players that have been on your team is you got to change up some of the ways. And because we have new players, I don't think that's going to be an issue. For instance, if you audible to a screen, let's say you were running the ball to the right and you didn't like the look that you were getting to the right and you wanted to run a screen away from the blitz. They were blitzing on the right side. You had a run call to the right. And instead of just calling a run play to the left away from the blitz, you wanted to run a screen away from the blitz to the opposite side. And the word for that to change the play was rocket, 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 rocket. Jeremy Sprinkle would know that. So if he hears rocket, or Ryan Anderson may know that. He hears rocket, he'll be able to tell his teammates if he's on the field, hey, they running the screen to the opposite side. So you have to change those things up. Those are the types of things you have to change. But they can't give you game plan specific stuff. These game plans change on a weekly basis, let alone a yearly basis. Those guys were here last year. It's one thing if a guy was with the team, he gets cut. This is why you see this. Guy's been with the team all camp, all preseason, gets cut, and you play that team week one. They sign that guy because, yeah, you've been with them all summer. You just were in their camp. So you may have a little insight. But these guys were here last year. They haven't been here through install all offseason. So yeah, you may ask for a few tips like, hey, they're watching film. Hey, what do they call this? When they do this, what is this called? And Sprinkle will be able to tell them, or Ryan Anderson will be able to tell them. But again, you don't know if you're going to get that look in the game. You don't know if they're going to call that in the game. But yeah, they ask these players, but again, there's only so much they can give them, right? They don't know the game plan, the new game plan. Yes, everything changes. So, yes, they definitely do try to pick their brains, but there's only so much those players can give them, honestly. Thank you for that super chat, Landry Baldwin. Good question, though. Got a super chat here from Russell Keaton. Thank you for the super chat, Russell Keaton. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Russell, writes, we know Terry and Samuel aren't playing the first preseason game. So what does that wide receiver rotation looking like to you? I wouldn't go as far as to say Terry isn't playing in the first game. Curtis Samuel will not play in that first game. Terry may be out there for a possession. Terry may not be out there at all. You could be 100% spot on. I don't think they're going to put these guys in bubble wrap because there are only 3 of these. I think it makes it more important to put your guys out there in the first preseason game. The reason the Cowboys and the Steelers could go afford to not put their guys out there in the Hall of Fame game, they got 3 preseason games still left. That was an extra one. So they could treat it as a throwaway game. Everybody else only has 3. So in my mind, how you want to go about it is you want your guys to get some work in this first preseason game. You want them to get a little bit more work in that second preseason game. And I would play my guys. I would treat the third preseason game like we used to treat it, as the dress rehearsal. Because there's a week off after that. So even if you get a nick or a tweak, there's time for a guy to heal up. But in the same breath, you got guys that are trying to make the football team. You need to see a little bit more from them. You may want to see them in that third preseason game. So it'll be interesting. I told you there's so many more dynamics to this offseason and this preseason because this is the first time preseason has been trimmed to 3 games. So we don't know if they're going to treat the second preseason game as the dress rehearsal and the third preseason game is the new 4th preseason game where nobody plays and all the young boys are out there dying out there, tongues dragging the floor because they got to play everything, special teams, offense, defense, all of that stuff. So we don't know because if you go off of how they did it in the past and you move everything up a game, then this first preseason game, the starters should be playing a quarter. The second preseason game is your dress rehearsal, so you play a whole half, and in the third preseason game, nobody plays. I don't think they're going to go about it that way. I think they're going to use your start. You're going to treat this first preseason game like you always treated it. You play some starters, some guys that have a little nick or tweak there. They're not playing. But if you're perfectly healthy, you go out there for a possession or 2. You're done. Second preseason game, you get a quarter of work. Third preseason game, you get a half, and then you're done. There's no 4th preseason game. So we'll see how they choose to go about it. But it's going to be interesting to see. We won't know until this first preseason game how they're going about it. This isn't the Hall of Fame game isn't a great example to use for all the rest of the preseason games because again, those 2 teams still have 3 preseason games left after that one. So we'll see what happens. But in terms of the wide receiver group, you're going to see Diami, a ton of Diami. You're going to see Adam Humphries a little bit. And then that's when you're going to start to – and you're going to see Harmon and you're going to see AGG, a ton of those guys. And then you'll see the rest of those guys towards the end. You know, Sims and Carter and Isaiah Wright and Brown and all of those guys that are on the back end of the roster at the receiver position. So in my mind – If Terry and Curtis don't play, and Curtis isn't going to play, more likely than not, but Terry will, I think. If he doesn't, then Diami will be starting at the X, more likely than not, and Cam Sims will probably be starting at the Z. And then I think Adam Humphries will be starting in the slot, and then you just go from there. And you just start trickling in guys as they see fit. So I think you'll see, after those guys leave the game, you'll see Harmon and AGG and Sims and Carter and all those guys kind of start to funnel into the game and so forth and so forth. So thank you for that super chat, Russell Keaton. Got a super chat here from The Phillies Ace 34. Thank you for the super chat. The Phillies Ace 34. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes? Louis T, long time, my friend. He says, are you like the Giants and Cowboys fans counting my Eagles out, saying the NFC East is only a 3-team race? Fly, Eagles, fly. Yes, I am among that group that is counting your Eagles out. I do not believe in Jalen Hurts. That is why I'm counting you out. I actually think the lack of talent on your roster has been grossly overstated. I do think the Eagles have talent on their roster. I think people have – it's a low-hanging fruit narrative that's easy to run with. Oh, the Eagles suck here and they suck there. No, there's plenty of talent to go around. They got talent on the offensive line if healthy. They got talent at receiver if healthy, which they're not currently healthy because their first-round draft pick is injured right now, but he'll be ready for the start of the season. But they got talent at receiver if he's healthy. They got talent at tight end, obviously the best crop of tight ends in the division. I think they've got talent. They got arguably the deepest running back room in the entire division. I've already stated that. And the defense isn't half bad. I just don't believe in Jalen Hurts. And if you don't have a quarterback, you know the rules to the game, then play. You don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. That's why I think the Eagles are going to stink this year. Not because the roster is garbage like a lot of people are trying to say. I just think the quarterback position is not good enough. That's where I stand. But I think a lot of people are just chopping up the Eagles stinking to the roster stinks, this, that, and the third. Now, that ain't me. I just don't think Jalen Hurts is any good. That's the problem. But I could be wrong. He could be outstanding, and the Eagles could be right there in the mix. Here's the thing. You know, I was looking at something, I think it was like 2 days ago. Matter of fact, it was BR Gridiron. And they put the final records up for all 32 teams in the league. And this is how they had the NFC East looking. The Cowboys won the division at 9-8. Washington came in second at 8-9. The Giants finished 6-11, and so did the Eagles, I think. Or the Giants were 7-10, and the Eagles were 6-11. Something along those lines. Sort of disrespectful, but I don't blame them because that's what the division was last year. I could see it being that way again this year. And I think some of that's baked into those predictions. Look at the schedule that we play. The entire division. You play the AFC West. It's one of the best divisions in football. You play the NFC South, one of the best divisions in football. Now, we don't know what the Panthers are going to be. We don't know what the Saints are going to be. But I think the Falcons are underrated, and we know what the Buccaneers are. So I think that's baked into those records, those final outcomes as well. And then we play the AFC East as our one AFC opponent for the extra game. That's one of the better divisions in the AFC as well. You know, the Dolphins were a surprise last year. They're not sneaking up on anybody this year. The Bills were really good. They're one of the best teams in football. Made it to the AFC Championship game. The Jets are going to be improved, and everybody thinks the Patriots are going to be much better. So, anyway, I digress. I said all of that to say this. Yes, I'm counting your Eagles out. I'm not backing down from that because I don't believe in Jalen Hurts. But I'm not counting your Eagles out for the same reason that a lot of other people are that probably think your team just stinks. That's not I. But I am counting you out because I don't believe in Jalen Hurts. He's going to have to show me something. I'm from Missouri. Thank you for that super chat. The Phillies Ace 34. Good to hear from you, too. It's been a while. Got another super chat from Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, we do go to SoFi. Super Bowl, what is that, 56? Is that 56? Are we on 56? We can't be on 56. Really? We that high? I feel like I missed 3 Super Bowls. I thought we were on like 54 or something like that. You know what? Wasn't that Panthers Broncos Super Bowl 50? I think it was. So yeah, that would put us at 56. Damn. Time's flying. Okay. I mean, if you say so, you really think we going to the Super Bowl? I mean, gas it up then. Fill the vehicle up. That's a long ass drive. But I'm all for it. You know, I don't believe it, but I'm all for it. I'm not shooting it down. That's how you feel. I'll ride. Definitely ride. Got another super chat. This one is from my guy, JL Smooth. Thank you for the super chat, John Livingston. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, JL Smooth writes, my dude, Louie. What up, JL? It's been a while, too. Feels like it's been a long time. Hope all is well, fam. Daniel Jones at the bottom of the brawl in New York, then Judge making them run sprints and do push-ups like high school players. Shaking my head. I talked about that on the podcast, man. It was hilarious. I mean, he made the coaches run laps. Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, that was crazy. But I would be pissed off too if my quarterback's at the bottom of a brouhaha like that. You know, you can't have the valuable merch down at the bottom of the scrum trying to find a way out of that thing. So, yeah, that was rough, but I did get a chuckle out of that, just like you. Joe Judge went postal on those boys afterwards. That I would have loved to have seen that. That was great. Thank you for that super chat, John Livingston. But yeah, I talked about that on the podcast. I'm gonna chop that up and put it out as a short, probably tomorrow too. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you haven't had a chance to check out the podcast. Got another super chat here from Tony P56. Thank you for the super chat, Tony P56, who writes, what up, Lou? What up, Tony P? I'm late to the party today, but are those Ron Plans shirts available yet? Glad to see the C-Boys lose even in a preseason game, LOL. I'm glad you brought it up. I meant to bring that up already. Yes. Ron's Plan t-shirts are back up and available on the site, printchamps.com. The link is down in the description of this and every single video that I do. I'm currently revamping the website, my website, so that I can make those available there as well. But again, it's easier to just go to Print Champs. But if you stumble upon them on the LouieTeeNetwork.net, you'll be able to purchase them there as well. So absolutely, they are available. Ron's Plan t-shirts are back and in full effect. So many people have asked me about them. They missed out on them the first time. So I decided to run them back before the season starts, because I know a lot of people want to cop them, wear them to the games. You know, they already said you can't, put face paint on, and you can't wear, Indian garb, with the headgear and things of that nature. So they're trying to crack down on all of that imagery. I told you, if they had it their way, remember we had this conversation on this show about Jason Wright sidestepping, essentially tap dancing around the question of wearing your Redskins gear to the game. They can't stop you from wearing Redskins gear. And he knows people are going to wear their Redskins jerseys. So there's no reason to come out of your mouth sideways and out of pocket, because you don't want to lose the fan base and you don't want to say anything. He said all the right things to this point. So he just made, and he's a smart guy and he knows how to politic. So he knew, I can't win here. So I'm just going to tap dance my way around that question. But I told you, if they had it their way, there would be no Washington gear. They would love to scrub this thing clean and start anew. They can't do that with the jerseys and the shirts and all of that merch. But what they can do is stop you from coming in with your feather cap, or they can stop you with face paint, because that imagery, it harkens back to Redskins, and they don't want that. So instead of you wearing a Redskins jersey, which I'm not going to tell you not to, but if you want to rep, wear the Ron's Plan shirt instead. All right. So yes, it's available. Copy a Ron's Plan t-shirt. Get them while they're still available. And every single person that has copped them, and a lot of you have, and I really do appreciate y'all for rocking with me. And again, if you've got the shirt on, send me a picture. I'm putting a collage together of all of the people that have sent me them in their Ron's Plan shirts, or any, LTN merch, or whatever the case may be. If you've got it, send me a picture. I'm putting a collage together. It's going to be really dope. And every single person that's gotten a shirt says, yo, this is dope. I love it. It's comfortable. It fits well, and it looks dope. So you won't be sorry if you cop it. That's all I'm going to say. Hey, I appreciate you, Tony P56, and I'm with you. Even in a preseason game, it's good to see the Cowboys lose. Always good to see them take an L. Always. Got a super chat from Thomas Carter. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Thomas Carter. Thank you so much for the super chat. I'm going to read this right here. I think you meant to do it this way, but really do appreciate you, Thomas Carter. Thank you so much for the super chat. Who writes, thank you for your hard work and dedication. Your commentary is always on point for the nation. Thank you so much for your support, Thomas. Again, it's viewers like you that continue to help the Louie T Network grow and be prosperous. So again, thank you for all that you do as well. Really do appreciate you, Thomas Carter. Got another super chat. This next one is from 1/6 Devil Doc. Thank you for the super chat, 1/6 Devil Doc, who writes, what up, Lou? What up, 1/6 Devil Doc? You killing it every show. I was surprised to find out Barry Sanders was your favorite player. Same here. Loved his game, mesmerizing. I especially loved his humility. Keep doing what you do. Barry Sanders has always been my number one. I've said it a million times that he was the reason I fell in love with the game. You know, Washington was the reason I started watching football, but Barry Sanders is responsible for me loving the game as much as I do. And like you said, he was mesmerizing. I've never encountered a player before or since that could take a minuscule, no gain, 4-yard loss or 4-yard gain and make it the most exciting play in football. That was Barry Sanders. Every single time he got the football, like, just think of it this way. Every time Brandon Banks used to go back for a punt return, you would be at the edge of your seat because you're like, this could be the one where Brandon breaks somebody off and goes the distance. It was must-see TV. You know, every time that exciting player gets his hands on the football, you're like, man, I got to see what's going to happen. And just magnify that and times it by, 25 to 30 carries every game. Because generally when we say that, it's of a player that doesn't touch it on almost every snap. That was Barry Sanders, though. Every time he touched it. This could be the 55-yard run where he shakes a dude down to his draws, turns him around. I mean, how many times have you watched clips of Barry turning a guy around three times on the same play? Like, I think of poor Hardy Nickerson on that one run against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers where he's turning poor Hardy Nickerson. I mean, he's got this guy in the washing machine, got him in the dryer. He's just spinning, got him in the spin cycle, turn him around left and right. I remember he had a run against us where we hit him. He spun off of 2 dudes and they went flying in 2 different directions. The run against the Cowboys, where they think they got him, he jumps over a guy and comes out of a pile and ends up running for a touchdown. Like, there's so many of those runs. They're 8-yard losses that are the most entertaining 8-yard loss you've ever seen in your life. That was Barry Sanders. Anyway, I could do this all day. Love Barry Sanders. Reason I fell in love with the game. Sounds like he mesmerized you as well. So we're on the same page there. 1/6 Devil Doc. Thank you for the super chat. Really do appreciate you. Charles Loman Jr. Thank you for the super chat. Charles Loman Jr. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Charles writes, you think the fans will sing HTTR when we score? I think they'll do it the first time, and maybe the first game. They'll be spiteful initially. I don't think that's something that will persist as we get into the season. Like, you get to week 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't think they'll be doing it. But the first 2-3 weeks, that they're at home, yeah, I think that could be a thing for sure. Definitely week 1, without a doubt. You're going to get some fans doing that. They're not going to play the song, though, which usually prompts people to sing it. But you'll get some fans that start it up, and if enough people will know the words and they get riled up, yeah, they'll sing it. But I don't think that's something that'll happen as we get further into the season. But initially, you're damn right they're going to do that for sure. Thank you for that super chat, Charles Loman Jr. 1/6 Devil Doc. Thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. 1/6 Devil Doc. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, team name, DC Devil Dogs. Homage to the Marines. I don't see them. Like I said, I could see a military name, something that pays homage to the military. So the Marines fits under that category. So Devil Dogs, all of that, all of those are possibilities. I don't see them naming the team Devil Dogs though. I don't see it being something like that. I think it's going to be something that's it's going to be one word. I don't see it being like Devil Dogs, like 2 words. Like, do we even have any teams that are like that with their nickname being 2 names? Like, let's think about that. Falcons, Cardinals, like everything's usually 1 word. Do we have a team like that in the league where their nickname is 2 names? Let's go through the divisions real quick. Packers, Bears, Vikings, Lions, Cowboys. Well, we're the football team right now, but obviously if we change it to something else, we won't have 2. But, obviously we're the exception to the rule right now. We don't count because we were the Redskins. Giants, Eagles, Seahawks, 49ers. So they're the Niners most times, but yeah, they're 49ers. But that's 1. It's more syllables, but it's 49ers. That's 1 word. You've got the Rams, and then you've got the Cardinals. And then lastly, you have the Saints, Bucks, the Panthers, and the Falcons. So then you go to the AFC, you got the Patriots, Jets, Dolphins, Bills, Steelers, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Titans, Jaguars, Colts, and Texans, and then Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders. So yeah, there are no teams in the NFL, with the exception of us right now because we changed our name, with 2 names as a nickname. I don't see Washington doing that. So I don't see it being Devil Dogs or, Blue Hens or something like that, where it's 2 different names. I think it's just going to be 1 name. So, maybe I'm thinking, overthinking it, and I'm thinking too critically, but that's what I do. Anyway, I digress. Thank you for that super chat. 1/6 Devil Doc. Let's see if we got any more super chats. And we do. Got one here from Kasim Worrells. Thank you for the super chat, Kasim Worrells. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Kasim writes, we win in 10 or 11 games. Keep the black gear in the closet this year. I hope you're right. I hope I get to keep the black on ice and not even have to break it out too often this year. But I got a fair share. I mean, I got a feeling that it'll be kind of 50-50-ish. Obviously, you can't go 50-50 this year because we got 17. We got an odd number of games, but they'll be close to each other. It'll be 8-9 or 9-8, somewhere in there. So I have a feeling I'll be donning the black just as much as I am the burgundy and gold. So I hope you're right. Excuse me. Hope you're right. So I'd love to keep the black gear in the closet. Really, really would. Thank you for the super chat, Kasim Worrells. Got a super chat here from my guy, BD, Barrett Downing. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, as always, Barrett. Thank you so much for the support. He says, respect for what you do, Lou. Keep grinding, brother. As always, Barrett Downing. And I'm glad to hear that you're back. I think you've been back for a while, but still glad to hear that you're back. Hopefully you enjoyed your vacay. Thank you for that super chat, Barrett Downing, as always. Captain Spartan 04. Ooh, this is a rare appearance on a Washington show. Thank you for the super chat, Captain Spartan 04. Maybe because your boys played tonight and you have something you want to say. Greatly, I do appreciate you, Captain Spartan, who writes, Braves are over 500. Let's go. Oh, we won. We swept the Cardinals. Let's go. I mean, hell, we couldn't win 2 games in a row to save our lives. It was win one, lose one, win one, lose one. We had an epic comeback last night, and apparently, I know I saw Freddie get a base hit early in the game to give us the 1-0 lead. But after that, I had to come on live, so I missed everything else. That's awesome. And we were fighting an uphill battle to get over 500. I tell you what, all of those additions, and I'm not going to let this take over the show, but all of those additions at the trade deadline have been massive, including bringing home Adam Duvall, who should have never left in the first place. He's having a monster year. Glad to have him back. Soler has been spectacular. And even some of the other guys like Stephen Vault coming in and giving us some swings at catcher, and Jock Peterson, all of those moves. AA has always been phenomenal, and he's showing it again. I'm going to stop right there, though. I know a lot of you don't care about the Braves. Anyway, I digress. And you know what? That's the last super chat. So that's perfect timing. We're approaching midnight, so I got on a little bit later, obviously due to the Hall of Fame game. What we'll start doing is we'll start moving the Washington Report to where it belongs, which is Wednesday, because we will have Thursday games, including Washington playing on the Thursday night next week. And every week thereafter, there will be games on Thursday. So we have to now move the Washington Football Report live to Wednesday, which is what we do during the regular season anyway. So we'll go ahead and start doing that. So go ahead, readjust your calendars. Washington Football Report now going to be on Wednesdays moving forward as we now make way for the NFL season. Oh my God, it feels so good to say that. Oh my God, so excited. Got another super chat. This one is from Captain Spartan 04. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Greatly appreciate you, Captain Spartan 04, who writes, Haskins feels better than Rudolph. Not saying much. You're not saying much at all. Rudolph stinks. I've told you that. Now, you used to defend Rudolph, but I've told you he stinks. And I think Haskins may ultimately be better for you guys than him. But like you said, that's not saying much because Haskins isn't very good himself. So unless he changes a lot of things, which I don't think he's going to be able to change fundamentally at this point of his career, it's hard to change a guy's stripes this late in the game. But you never know. We'll see. At the end of the day, like you said, it's not saying much. So in any event, I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold until we meet again. Hail to our beloved Washington football team. This was a great show. I really enjoyed chopping it up with you guys thoroughly. I'm going to continue the coverage of camp, so you guys stay tuned for that. Tomorrow will be a big day as they will be at FedEx Field in front of fans. I want to know if you go, how was it? If enough of you are available, I'd love to jump on live and just kind of just hear from you guys as to what the environment was like and how practice looked and what you thought of some of the players and things of that nature. So we may do something, if not tomorrow, sometime next week, or even during the live show next week. You guys can talk about how that whole practice went. But in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me on the program tonight. As I said, really do enjoy you guys. Thank you for joining me so much. Make sure you do me a huge solid and hit the subscribe button for more great content if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing, and also hit that like button as that continues to help this channel flourish. With that said, get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Remember, Ron's Plans merch available. Get you some. Until next time, also, before I go, Mob Squad merch available as well. Don't forget about that. And we're going to be watching the game together live and chatting up in the Mob Squad. So if you're not a member, now's the time to go ahead and do it so you can be a part of the discussion, because, again, a lot of times the conversation from the squad carries over to the live stream. I'd hate for you to not be in the loop and know what we're talking about. So, again, if you're not a member of the Mob Squad, now is as good a time as ever to make it happen. Until next time, you guys Take care. God bless. And good night.